the conduct that the government of Kenya has been handling the situation, the killings, the abductions, the disappearances, all these are violations of human rights. And I think there have been no discrimination of whether you're a Kenyan or an East African or just a foreigner who has sought refuge in Kenya. I think there is a serious problem in Kenya, and as we have mentioned, and we are calling upon the Kenyan government and the Kenyan authority to recognize that they have a duty, a fundamental duty, to protect the Constitution and all the rights which have been envisioned there, provided there.
Are there abductions of young people? Are there killings of political critics, like we saw in Kenya? Is it even worse?
We can take one more, then we'll open up.
I can talk about Tanzania as well.
Swali la kwanza, je, kwa nini mkutano huu haujaitishwa Kampala? Tunatumai
Kenyan judges will get confused.
In responding to your question of whether the Kenyan government is doing enough to protect people who are in Kenya, I think as human rights organizations, we have taken keen observation that the Kenyan government has been on the forefront in enabling human rights violations. And this is not only witnessed by how they have handled persons who have come to this country to seek refuge, but also how they have continued to meet their citizens in Kenya as they try to express themselves, try to agitate for their human rights. And the conduct that the government of Kenya has been handling the situation, the killings, the abductions, the disappearances, all these are violations of human rights. And I think there have been no discrimination of whether you're a Kenyan or an East African or just a foreigner who has sought refuge in Kenya. I think there is a serious problem in Kenya, and as we have mentioned, and we are calling upon the Kenyan government and the Kenyan authority to recognize that they have a duty, a fundamental duty, to protect the Constitution and all the rights which have been envisioned there, provided there. And secondly, we have to keep on reminding the current regime that they need to remember at the end of it all, under the international law, which is part and parcel of the Kenyan law, pursuant to Article 2 of the Kenyan Constitution, they shall be held responsible for their conduct. And these persons, whether it is today or tomorrow, we are 100% sure that they shall be held accountable. We are saying this because we have called for many times the issue of command responsibility, that whenever you give an order or you fail to give an order, either to protect or you give an order to violate, you are held responsible. And we cannot sit and watch. That's why we have been collecting a lot of data. We are collecting data with various organizations, and at the end of it all, persons responsible must be held accountable. Thank you very much. Under the command responsibility principle, it is not necessarily whether you are the one who did it. The question is who has the responsibility. So if the Inspector General of Police has the responsibility to command the police, he has the responsibility to either command them to commit, to do an act of protecting citizens or to commit the violations. That's why we are holding them accountable. If you disappeared within the confines of the territory of Kenya, then you are under the jurisdiction of this country, and those who have the responsibility from the Inspector General of Police must be held accountable because they have a duty to protect life, whether one or many. Thank you.
I have not read the tweet from Museveni, so I will respond to that question as if it is your question. And human rights groups, lawyers have asked from the beginning, one, that any cases before the military courts be transferred to a civilian court, because trial of civilians in military courts for criminal offenses is illegal. And this is something that we have called for. And this is when we do not even know what cases or evidence against Kizza Besigye. That is one. The nature in which Kizza Besigye was taken from, wherever place he was taken from, was not an arrest. Kizza Besigye was abducted, and whatever process that took him and found him in Uganda was rendition. This is an unlawful or a process which does not follow extradition process as per international law. So we calling for his release basically starts from the place of the unlawful nature of his abduction, not arrest, and the unlawful detention. Continuously also, after the Supreme Court decision on 31st January, the military and the state through the prisons have continued holding Dr. Besigye, Obeid Lutale, and Aaron Kizza. That is also unlawful after a decision that has said, one, every person that is being held or who is facing trial or has challenged a court decision against the military court either be freed or their cases be transferred to a civilian court. So that is the reason we are calling for their immediate release and not for a quick trial process. You cannot call for a quick trial process in a process that is already unlawful and a sham process. Thank you very much. Swahili?